The Meyiwa Murder Trial resumes in the North Gauteng High Court this morning. It last sat in September. Tumelo Madlala, who was in the house when Meyiwa was killed, is expected to be back in the hot seat for cross-examination. Proceedings are expected to wrap up in 3 weeks, but now there's another issue. The lawyer who represents accused 1 to 4 is appealing for funding. Tabane says that if his clients cannot give him financial instructions, he may be forced to withdraw. Silindelo Masikane is at court for us and joins us with the very latest. Silindelo, good morning. Talk to us about this financial matter that Mr. Tabane has now raised.
Well, it seems quite bizarre, I think, for some who have actually read through the letter in terms of what TT Tabane is requesting, because essentially he's saying that his clients have run out of money and is appealing to the public for crowdfunding. If I can just quote the actual letter itself, which was distributed on social media yesterday in Fundo. He says, "We, TT Tabane attorneys, hereby plead to the public for crowdfunding in quest for justice in this matter for the sole purpose of not delaying the matter further. Should the clients not be able to financially instruct us further on the matter, we will be acting within our rights to withdraw as attorneys of record. We therefore undertake the monies raised will be used to fund this trial, and should there be any surplus funds, they'll be used not limited but including to address social ills in communities." So that's the appeal from TT Tabane, who essentially is saying that he needs money in order to be able to continue with this trial. At this point, we are inside court in Fundo, and at this point he has not arrived, but 2 of his clients that he does represent are now inside court. That is Bongani Ntanzi as well as accused number 3, Mtobi Simnube, and we're just awaiting the legal representation, of course, to arrive. I was hoping TT Tabane would have been here by now in order for us to be able to at least get his voice on this particular matter, but of course we are expecting him to be in court, and so we will canvass the issues that he's raised in this letter when he arrives.
It's quite interesting, though, and it would be interesting to get sentiment from ordinary citizens this morning around that letter, because a soccer legend has lost his life, and you've got men that are accused of killing him, unless there is a general assumption that maybe they're the wrong men, so people would fund. But it would be interesting to find out what people just this morning think about possibly funding those that are accused of killing a soccer legend.
I think it will be quite interesting, but at this point we're just awaiting for court proceedings to resume this morning, and of course we're expecting Tumelo Madlala, who was one of those who was in the house on that fateful evening, to continue with cross-examination. During the last sitting in September, TT Tabane was close to wrapping up his own cross-examination. Then we will see Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5, then also begin her cross-examination. But we also are awaiting the bail verdict of accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, who applied for bail last month. And still to date, he does not have a decision on his bail. But we also know that he is the one who was pointed out by Madlala during the September sitting as one of the 2 intruders in the house during a doc identification. We spoke to a legal expert earlier on, just in terms of what we can expect when court proceedings resume. Let's take a listen.
First and foremost, this witness will essentially testify about the identity of the accused and, of course, the surrounding circumstances pertaining to the murder itself. Where the witness identified one of the accused as the perpetrator, of course, you as an attorney would have to negate that identity, and you would attack that by saying to the witness, "Listen, you've not seen this person before in your life. Now you come to court, and the only reason why you point me is because I'm the accused and the accused doc. You never attended an ID parade, so the identification in itself is of very little or no weight." Had this witness indicated from the word go that I can identify the accused, then a proper construed ID parade should have been held, and this person should have had the opportunity of pointing the people, the accused. And if he did not point them, well, then we can say, well, listen, your recollection of who actually perpetrated the murder is severely lacking and you have no credibility. Other than that, it's of course relevant for putting factors in the court's domain of what the circumstances were, maybe what the clothing were that the suspects were wearing at the time, whether all of them wielded firearms, whether some of them wielded knives, whether they were having any hats on. And even identification of clothing could be relevant when other witnesses come to say, well, listen, I identified accuser before, and I recall he was wearing a hat with Fox logo on, for lack of a better example. And now suddenly we can tie that up with the other witness who also said it was a similar identification. So this witness will definitely pertain to that. It will definitely pertain to the events of the day. But more than that, you can't really say about that.
It will most certainly be an interesting day in court. But what time do we expect proceedings to begin today?
Well, we're expecting to begin around 10 a.m., but I actually have noticed Barry Bateman, who represents RP Forum, as well as the Meyiwa family, who's just stepped into court proceedings. Now, I understand, of course, that the Meyiwa sisters, Barry, will be coming back to court this morning. Maybe you can give us a sense if you have been able to speak to them on their expectations today.
Yeah, good morning, Slee. Well, I just had a brief conversation with the sisters. They've arrived yesterday from KwaZulu-Natal. The expectation is that this matter proceeds with haste. The sense that we're getting, and this is the sense of our unit as well, is that this has gone on for too long. It's taking too slow, and it's simply unacceptable. This trial needs to get moving. We'd like to get onto some of the evidence that directly implicates these accused in the crime, as it is alleged was committed. So we're just hoping that things move with a bit more speed.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Barry.
Thank you,
I know I grabbed you as you arrived, but thank you so much for that. Just confirmation that the Meyiwa family, the Meyiwa sisters in particular, will be returning to court this morning to observe the cross-examination. And of course, we know that Tumelo Madlala's appearance in court is in camera, so his visuals are not shown. But as you've heard from Barry, that the Meyiwa family in particular is really looking for this matter to be wrapped up as speedily as possible. So we are expecting to resume with court proceedings at 10 a.m. this morning.